Fancy schmancy build viewer. You're listening, cool. All right, so you got the salmon. My first issue is nothing. I mean, you got only the first two modules. It looks like. Is that correct, Philip? Let me do this. Let me find something that I use, and this might help you out as well. I'm gonna bust out this tab and add it to this tab. So, Philip, this is probably a good place to start, and figure out from there where you want to go. So, looking back here, according to this, now there's been a couple times this has been wrong, but if you're out of credits, then obviously it makes sense. You haven't bought the modules yet. Oops, but I like to use this Google Doc here as a starting place for my captain builds, especially if it's for a ship or a class that I'm just not that accustomed to. Like, I don't play subs that much, right? So I'll use this as a way to kind of figure that out. So obviously you want to get the hulls, the hull, the ping, the upgrades done as soon as you can. Then you've got these modules here, and it's recommended that you go for Torpedo 2's mod for your third slot, and then fourth looks like dive planes, and same thing with the fifth. So that would give you better dive plane shift time, rudder shift time, and then repair time for your steering gears. All right. So those are just some things to think about. Obviously, you'd want to get these upgraded. And then for your captain, let's compare this build, because again, I don't play subs too much. Let's compare this build to the recommended, right? So you started off correctly with the liquidator, and they recommend, instead of torpedo crew training, going for improved battery capacity. So what does that mean? That means that you have 10% extra dive capacity, and then your recharge rate's a little bit faster as well. So that will obviously allow you to maneuver around underwater more. You instead went for torpedo tube reload time, which is probably fine too. I'm just showing you what is recommended, okay? For third, you've got the watchful, right? Which says it displays an indicator showing the submarine is currently within action range of activated hydroacoustic surveillance or submarine surveillance consumables. If you change depth while the indicator is displayed, you may be detected. So this might help prevent you from being spotted. Obviously, if you see that, you don't really want to change around that much. So something to think about. Instead, you went for superintendent to get another ship consumable. I look at this as something that gives you more survivability in the sub. This is similar to the old-fashioned what was it called? We were just talking about this yesterday, Grunty. The skill that would tell you if you were detected or not. The old captain skill.
A priority target? Or...
No. Way before that. Now it's automatic if a ship is detected. It's Sixth Sense. Thank you, Drifted. Or situational awareness.
No,
yeah.
It was it really called Sixth Sense? I think Sixth Sense is the term for World of Tanks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's situational awareness. But yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah, it's useful, but it's optional. I mean, you're always going to have that extra consumable, which obviously helps, because you do have a limited number of like DCPs, for example, right? And then of course you get one extra enhanced rudder gears by doing that, so that's fine. And then of course you do your enlarged shaft, which is part of the recommended build as well. So, and you can see they also recommend superintendent too. So that can work. From there, other things to think about would be going down here for adrenaline rush. And then, what's this one? Consumable enhancements one, right? Specialist, yeah. And then helmsman. So it's easier to dive and stuff. It's also like the mod that lets you know if you're in range of radar hydro. But you don't have to spot the ship first. That's right, Drifting, exactly.
I'm not sure if I agree with the superintendent as the first 3-point skill.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying. The recommendation is to go to
Yeah.
Watchful. So now, Grunty, you've played a lot of subs. So
No, not a lot. I've played
okay,
them.
but have you found Watchful helpful?
Watchful is helpful if you're at max dev and you want to try to ambush something because it will tell you that there's a Hydra active and you shouldn't go to periscope dev, otherwise you're gonna be detected.
Okay. So in other words,
Or
let's.
if you're at periscope dev, it pops up and says that the radar is active. So if you actually go to the surface, you will also be detected.
Okay. So it's basically a
And it
hey.
will also tell you if the enemy submarine is using submarine surveillance.
Mhm.
So it's really helpful.
Okay.
You have to pay attention to this though. Like if you don't pay attention to your screen and don't notice the marker, then it's worthless.
So let me think of a couple scenarios here where this comes in handy. All right. So for example, let's say that you want to, like you said, ambush. So you want to ambush, let's say, a German battleship. Doesn't matter what. Almost all of them have Hydra going. That reaches out to 6 kilometer ship detection. But it's 2 kilometer guaranteed. They have to be right over you no matter what depth. So let's say you're at max depth and you want to go and try to shotgun a German battleship. What you're saying is, if you're, say, within, let's say, 4 kilometers away from it, Waswell will say, "Are you sure about that?" Essentially, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. And then another example is if a Russian radar cruiser, for example, is using its radar, it's 12 kilometers, let's say a Moskva, and you're 10 kilometers away, and you need to surface at some point to recharge your batteries. You don't see anything around you. You think it's safe. This tells you, wait, you should not surface, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So that actually does come in handy. That will help prevent you from being detected, which of course is the biggest thing for subs. You don't want to be detected. So, okay, cool. Like I said, I've played subs, but just not a ton. Otherwise, yeah, everything else makes sense. And then for your flags, you've got flooding chance, right? Flooding chance. Can submarines detonate?
No.
Ship speed, so there's no need to worry about dead flags. And then you've got consumables. Okay, so you're set there. Some other alternative suggestions could be.
If you want to try hard, I would use the signal flags that reduce fire and flooding duration because you have limited DCPs.
Yep.
So
I was just going to mention that. The other one I think would be very useful for subs is the ramming flag. A lot of people forget about that because a submarine with a ramming flag does extra damage when they ram an enemy. And you can use this to ram, say, a destroyer that's trying to hunt you down, or even a battleship if need to be, and do some good damage. It also allows you to ram an enemy sub and survive if they don't have the ramming flag. So, worth considering. Alright, let's get into the replay. As I can drop that. There we go. Normally, you do put RAM on. Got it. Okay. So this is a tier 10 game, and you're in a tier 8. Congratulations, you're about a tier. Just an enemy salmon on the enemy team. You've got 4 tier 10 destroyers to deal with. I'm sure you're feeling very good about that. A Des Moines
Let's get 'em.
Hipper isn't that big of a deal. And then your food, you've got 5 battleships that are food. Preussen has Hydro. 4 battleships that are food, sorry. That's not too bad. Let's see how this goes. We start the Stream Raiders game. Screen freeze? My screen's not frozen. Ramming flag is last torpedo flag. LTF. Yes, exactly right, Coughlin. At times, Wolf a little lag. Okay, good to know.
Hi there. Enemy force detected.
Now, what captain are you using in this one? I don't recognize the voice. By the way, I like your decision to stay on the surface, try to grab the A cap. Amelia Watson. Oh, okay. Thanks, Bluehawk. And because of the way subs typically spawn, most likely the Salmon is on the opposite side of you. It's a Hololive commander. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you have to refresh Twitch to... I don't know. Whatever. Twitch twitches sometimes. I don't know. No problem, Grunty. She's nice. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to really play around with them, but I do have those commanders on my account. So you're gonna get this cap, it looks like. Now, I do want to comment on something right now, real quick, Philip, and that is... Where you're at right now is kind of risky-ish in that you don't really have an escape route. You could submerge. That might get you the ability to turn a little bit, but I don't know that I like your position here. As a destroyer, this is a really bad position. As a sub, it's still kind of chintzy. You don't know. I mean, the Des Moines is spotted now over on the 10 line, but if the Des Moines is on the typical Des Moines position, that's going to be Delta 3. That island up there. You're well within radar range. He could very well radar you there. All right, you got the cap, and there's the Salmon. So now is a good opportunity for you to try to help your team by keeping him spotted. You've got 2.5 minutes, though, till you can use your submarine surveillance. Or the Marceau could just kill it. Never mind. Carry on. We finished up the our Stream Raiders battle. Let's get the next one going. Yay, Marceau, right? Let's go ahead and... Oh.
Naughty little torps right behind us.
Naughty little torps. Okay. Now, you're not going to stay and fight the Shimakaze. Makes sense. You're going to go to the middle. Hipper's over there. Hipper, of course, has Hydro. Aragumo hasn't been spotted for a while. Last known, he might be heading your way. Shimakaze did go into A. Now you're going to Periscope. These are the dumbfire torpedoes, right? Yeah. And these are the homies. Got it. So your range is 8 kilometers. And you're not using the acoustic ones. So if you're not using the acoustic ones, I would not ping here. As you can see, the Hipper saw the ping and immediately put his Hydro on. You just alerted him to your presence. And this could really hurt.
Ding, ding, ding. Fire alarm.
Fire alarm. You thought it was acoustic. Yeah, I'm sure you did, right? Now, here's the problem. This guy obviously has Hydro on, and he's probably going to turn and try to spot you, because as long as he's 2 kilometers within your range, you're going to be detected. So you've got 2 choices. One would have been to run and dive and try to turn. Instead, you're going to reverse and surface. You can do that, but you're going to have to go for the shotgun. And you really don't have much available to you. You could try to dive and use your rear torpedoes.
Ding, ding, ding.
You see, the Hipper doesn't have plane-launched or plane-mounted ASW. Although I think you're pretty much dead right there. There you go. So let's get a screenshot of your death pick. As you know, death picks are fun and all that. And now okay, so we lost the Hipper because there's nobody spotting him anymore. So we're gonna have to do something kind of like this. Why not? There we go. So a few problems there. Setting up a torpedo shot involves positioning. Yes, it does.
Reporting a target position.
I'm gonna exit the battle and reload this replay because it was so short. We saw it once. Let's see it a second time, and let's
I'm
talk
back.
about what kinds of things you could have done differently here. Welcome back. I don't know if you caught that tail end there, but Philip made a couple of mistakes, and that led to him dying very quickly in this game.
No, I only came back when the sub was thinking.
Okay.
I have never played any of the American tech tree submarines, so don't think I'm very qualified to give any insight there.
Right. So let's talk through your mistakes, and let's do it. Let's do it kind of one at a time. All right. So the first thing that I identified, this didn't hurt you in this case, but you stayed surfaced in A, and Grunty, you'll see where he ends up going, and it doesn't matter what the sub is. I think it's a big risk sitting there.
So what you actually want to do when you approach this cap, you want to be at periscope depth and use the hydrophone right away, because you probably could have caught the enemy submarine that way, or the enemy destroyer, or at the very least it helps you to not go in that cap blind. Like, and the hydrophone is like, you can use this every 57 seconds. Like, there's no reason to hold it back and not use it at the start.
And there's an unlimited number of charges too.
And you know you're going up against an enemy sub, and you know it's on your side. So I would always take the chance trying to spot it. And if you stay on the surface like this, the enemy submarine, if he's at periscope or underwater uses the hydrophone, he can detect you that way.
Right.
And you don't want that.
Okay.
So I would at least go periscope when you get closer to the middle of the bed. Use the hydrophone, see what is on this side, and from there you can make an informed decision.
Okay. So what you're saying is basically, as he's approaching A, if he uses the hydrophone, anything within 8 kilometers will be detected in a sense, right? So that would be a destroyer, that would be a sub.
Yes, but he needs to be at periscope. Like, it doesn't work if he's on the surface.
Right, because it says while submerged. Can he be lower than periscope?
He can be lower than periscope, yes.
Okay. But obviously at periscope gives you the option to surface and cap versus being farther down. Being deeper, right? Okay. Cool. I want to talk through this because I think a lot of players don't understand how subs work, and so this is a great opportunity to talk through all that kind of stuff. All right. So as you see, he stayed in this position here to get the cap, and this is a pretty dangerous spot anyway, right? Because there's no real easy escape route for him.
I mean, he can always dive.
Right, he could, but I mean, he's got one escape route through this channel in front, or he'd have to find a way to turn around somehow.
Naughty little torps right behind us.
Now, here comes the next mistake. We're gonna zoom in a little bit here, and he sees the hipper. Now, this hipper, a couple things about this hipper, Philip, I don't know if you recognized or not. One is his clan tag, Boats. Boats is a clan of pretty, good to decent players, and the reason I say that is because that player is somebody who's probably going to react to any input quicker than most other players in this game, if that makes any sense to you. Okay, so when I see somebody, if I'm playing this sub right now and I'm seeing this hipper, first of all, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be here. I don't want to approach him from this position, because if you look at it, the hipper is stern onto you. He can easily just hit the W key and go away. Grunty, if he wants to attack this hipper, where should he be?
I wouldn't even try against the cruiser.
Okay, why?
Honestly, I don't know where it would be. Like, I mean, it's a German cruiser. Like, he has the hydro. Like, again, it's good player, like with what armament do you even attack him? Do you try the homing torps here, or do you get that close that you try the dumbfire torps? Like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even know how to approach this.
Okay.
I'm honestly pretty surprised he just didn't. Why not going for that lone Montana and C1? Like that's what the sub prays for.
So what you would
Like
have
the
done?
shimmy is not. Yeah, the shimmy is not gonna charge you and hunt you because he's gonna get smacked by the Marceau. So.
Uh-huh.
I would have went for this Montana because if that Montana dies, the whole flank is open and everybody that you have on that flank can leave and go to the other side.
So, all right, let's talk through this for a second. So what you would suggest is after getting the cap, he knows there's that lone Montana there. He knows there's a Des Moines, Hipper. He knows where the 2 cruisers are that are big threats to him. You said the Shimakaze is not that big of a threat to you. Why? Because you would recommend he goes to maximum depth and just sails under the Shima, correct?
He can just use the, like, at Periscope too, and just use the hydrophone to know where the shimmy is, and if the shimmy gets too close, then you just dive and be safe, and if not,
Okay.
you just stay at Periscope and get to the Montana as quickly as possible.
Okay, so there's no need to go at max depth. It's an option, but Periscope gives you more
do
vision.
it because you're slow at max depth in the American one, so it
Okay.
takes you longer to get where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you would go down to Periscope depth. You would use the hydrophone to figure out where the Shimakaze was positioning so that you wouldn't accidentally bump into him. And if he was coming your way, then you would go to operational depth, which is 30 meters, right?
Either that or, like, I mean, you could even try to use your homing tropes and kill the shimmer. Like,
Got it.
Or you tried.
Okay. One thing that you could do is if you manage to slip past the Shima, the Montana probably is going to feel pretty safe because nothing's attacking the Shima, right?
Mm.
If he attacks the Shima, the Montana might immediately go defensive and turn and run. That's what I would expect.
Going for the hipper, I just don't see how going for the hipper ever works out.
Okay. Well, we've established what he should do. Let's take a look. He goes to Periscope depth. And then he fires a spread of torpedoes. Now, when he fired the torpedoes, I commented on exactly that. So he's firing dumbfire torpedoes right now at a hipper that's reversing. Okay? Now, one thing he could do right here, tell me if I'm wrong in this idea, Grunty, but one thing he could do right here is turn one direction, left or right doesn't really matter too much, I'd probably turn right, and get the stern torpedoes off on the hipper. If that's what his target is, would you agree with that?
He could. I usually don't have much success with that. Yeah, like it takes quite a while for the sub to actually turn around and then get the torps off.
The reason I mention that is because my understanding of American submarines is a lot of players like to do the sit and spin method because then you can get maximum torpedoes out in the water.
But what you should, like, if you want to go for the hipper here, I would have really used the homing torpedoes because the hipper has depth charges. It's a German cruiser. It doesn't have ASW planes. So even if you ping it, like, there is absolutely nobody in range that can actually launch any ASW on you here.
Right.
So the ping is, like, yes, it reveals the position, but it's kind of free.
So Philip mentioned he didn't realize he was using dumbfires. He thought he had acoustic. So, you know what's coming next then, don't you?
He's gonna ping.
He's gonna ping. Which is the worst thing he could do right now. Go back to what I said about boats. As soon as he gets pinged, what's he gonna do? Right? Submarine near me.
He's gonna accelerate.
He's going to accelerate, exactly, and those dumbfire torps are gone anyways. But he's also probably going to use his hydro. Which is exactly what's going to happen. There it is. You see how quick that reaction was? He got the ping, immediately reacted with hydro. Other players might not be that quick. Alright?
Over there. Enemy battleship detected.
Alright, so, Grunty, You're in the situation. You've been detected. Your attack has failed. What should he do now?
I mean, the situation is kind of the same. Like, actually, nobody can launch ASW on him, so he needs to dive immediately to get
And how deep?
undetected. 30 meters is actually enough to get away from the hydro. You
Okay.
don't need- if you go deeper, like it's just to throw off the depth charges and ASW plenty more. I guess at this point, that one battleship that is sitting south of this island in D6 could have ASW range.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not quite sure if it does.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
But,
that's a poison.
I would dive, I would turn out and like get away from all these battleships and from the hydro. Like,
Right. Now this is a good time to use enhanced rudder
Yes.
gears to try to get out faster too, right?
yeah. I would still turn around and just still go for the Montana. Like, you know where the shimmy is now. Like, there's absolutely nothing in the way anymore.
Okay. So dive, turn, go for the Montana. Use enhanced rudder gears, get yourself safe.
Ding ding ding! Fire alarm!
I need intelligence data.
Yeah, aim the torps like a destroyer in case somebody into DCPs. That's a good point too.
You gotta turn. You can't keep your course. Gotta
And that-
turn.
All
Okay.
good now.
Here is where he should be using his hydrophone, so that he knows where the hipper is. Right, gets an idea of where he's moving.
Yeah. Is he
But
actually
I-
trying to ambush the hipper now that has the hydro running? Is that how
Not
he
gonna-
died?
Not going to work, is it?
Might work against a bad hipper.
Yeah, but we've already kind of things that he's done. It shows he's not a bad hipper, right? Like this guy knows what he's doing.
This way!
Your second issue here is, by the way, that your torps, like even if you hit them, you don't have enough damage to actually kill the hipper here.
So at this point, he's probably best off just ramming.
Yeah.
And sorry, Philip, we get to watch you die a second time.
Like, if you go for that kind of suicide shotgun run, you need to make sure you have enough damage on your torpedoes that you can kill the target and go dark after you kill it. Because if you don't kill it, you're just guaranteed dead.
Okay. All right, well, that's about the best kind of feedback we can give to you and everybody else in terms of subs. I don't know what else there is to really talk about here. Bluelock says, against really skilled players, I like to partition my torpedo dumps 2 in front, 2 towards the back. Try going somewhere along the middle of the ship. If the skilled commander turns to avoid oncoming, he's going to get pincered by, and usually take at least 1, possibly more. Got it. Yeah, Tea Drinker. Philip is probably newer to the sub, and that's cool. I mean, because we're able to get a lot of information here about playing sub, which I think, you know, is helpful. I mean, it's helpful for, like, me. I haven't played sub that much, but I think it's also helpful for people that are up against subs to understand what tools the submariners have at their disposal. No problem, Philip. So I hope that was a really good cover my replay used. I think that was a really good use of points, man.